ideally, you want to take the time and effort to approach each stage of the production process with the most care that you possibly can. You want your mastering to be as minimal as possible because you've mixed well. And you want your mixing to be as minimal as possible because you've recorded well. And you want your recording to be as minimal as possible because you've planned and performed well. But it doesn't always go this way. And you need to be able to adapt. And so in this particular case, I have a deadline coming up, and I recorded this bass part, and I chose the preset for the bass tone that most closely matched what I was going for. And after it was recorded, I decided it didn't sound quite right, but it was already recorded. I don't have time to go back and re-record it, or to take the time to go through tons of options. So what I decided to do was use some EQ and compression to get this bass guitar to where I really wanted it. And I want to show you that today. So this is a very stripped down mix. We have some programmed drums. There's a bass guitar, synth, an acoustic guitar, and a vocal recorded live, sort of, and an electric guitar part. And we're just going to be looking at this bass guitar right here. So let me kind of give you an idea of what the mix as a whole sounds like. Okay, so buried in that mix is this bass guitar, which I will play by itself. And in the context of the mix, so it sounds pretty good right now because we have a couple of things going on here. And I just want to show you what they are. These are some pretty drastic EQ moves here. I don't normally work like that, but this is a special circumstance. So what we have is 3 cuts, all kind of in the same range here. Just 3 frequencies that I thought sounded kind of nasty. And then we have a shelf, a high shelf. We're adding a whopping 16 decibels here above 1560 hertz. And we have a low shelf here below 122 hertz. And we might as well just do an A-B situation here. You hear that difference? Yeah. Without this EQ, this bass sounds muddy. It sounds MIDI. It just kind of sucks. But with a few, strategic EQ moves, you can take some of the worst recordings. You can't take the worst recordings. Don't get me wrong. I'll repeat myself. Do the best that you can at each stage. But if the performance is good, at least, there are certain things that you can do to take a pretty bad recording, at least tonally, and make it much better. And this is the perfect example. In addition to the EQ, I have applied a pretty decent compressor here to really flatten it out, to allow it to support the rest of the mix. And altogether, these two plugins have taken a dog turd and polished it quite nicely. So remember this as you work on your own mixes, that as long as the performance is good, if for some reason you've got a time crunch, there are little tricks that you can use to improve the sound of your recordings. Enjoy.